And today we're going to ground and then reach up and connect to 10. We'll do some introductory exercises to get us moving to start with, and then we'll talk a little bit about today's concept. Then we'll do today's concept. Any problems anybody noticed after last class, which was 2 weeks ago? Any shoulder problems or hip problems or back problems or anything like that? If you're too shy to just speak out, put them in the comments. If you're too shy to tell me, tell Connie. This is a beta program, so it's really helpful to know these things and find out what's going on with everybody. And just a quick reminder, like we said before, this is a Zoom class. We don't have quite so many people today, which means you're in larger boxes, but I still can't really see you. And especially when I walk away far enough from the camera that you can see me well, I won't be able to see I won't be able to monitor your safety at all. And that's one of the more frustrating things about teaching on a Zoom class is I can't hold the space and make it safe for people. So you need to look around you. Just make sure that you don't have any trip hazards, no objects, no slippery things, no, in my case, cats, pillows, anything you might trip on because you're looking at the camera and paying attention to me. And don't get hurt. That Jane Fonda thing about, more pain, no gain, not true. If you just had the flu last week and you're dizzy and I tell you to do a balancing exercise, which we're going to try some of, don't do it. Do it next time. Just modify it. Don't hurt yourself. Modify it in any way that you need to. Or just sit down and enjoy yourself for a minute. And just like last time, if you leave before class, please leave us a comment in the notes so that we know what happened to you, because it's I don't see you very much. So if you are gone, I wonder if you fainted and I should call, the hospital, or if it was something I said, or, and leave us a comment, just like, gotta go, bye, something like that. Sort of like bowing out when you have to leave the dojo. All right, let's warm up a little bit. We're going to use the same movements as we did last time with a little bit different emphasis. Again, today we're talking about 10, so we'll be lifting up, but the lifting up, I've noticed, works better if we ground first. So we're going to start with feeling our muscles and bones. And just like we did last time, we'll start with the feet. So you're going to find your feet and you're going to let them shift. Find your toes, wiggle a little bit. And we're looking, we need to start at chi, what we did last time, ground, in order to go to 10, which is like up. And to go to chi, we need our feet to be alive, because how are we going to get into the ground if we have dead feet and our feet, well, they're not dead, but they usually are chews a lot, so they're kind of sleepy most of the time. So you're going to rise up on the ball of your foot, one foot and the other foot, and one foot and the other foot, and one foot and the other foot, and one foot and the other foot. And the more you can flex your ankle, the better it's going to be for your ankle. The more you get your ankle flexed, the more fall prevention or fall protection you have. And you're going to reach your toes out on the floor and draw them in by, let your foot arch. When I first did this, I got incredible calf cramps. So if you feel a calf cramp coming on, just take a stop. You don't have to do it until your calf cramps. And the other side. Fun thing about this one is not only after you do it for a while, you'll find that when you, because you're pulling your feet this way and arching them up, the toes up, it's just the opposite of what we do with the open toe thing, right? But your toes will open easier if you can get them to scrunch easier. The whole foot will get more involved with the toes opening. That's kind of fun. And when you are wiggling your ankles like this, we've got a bunch of bones in the heel. Gosh, 4 or 5. It looks like a solid object, but it isn't. So the calf comes down and ties in to some of those bones in the heel. And you can feel when you go up and you stretch the front of your calf muscle, you may feel the bottom of your foot. That's because you're feeling those muscles tie in. And of course, that's a great thing to feel, and it's a really greater thing to stretch when you go and stretch your calf muscle out. This one is stretching the back of the calf, but then you bend it like this, and oh wow, all of a sudden you're stretching the front of your calf. And those are the muscles that reach down and wrap around the foot bones. Go ahead and stretch the other leg back. Stretch the back of your calf. That's with the straight knee. And then you bend the knee, and wow, there's the front of the calf. And it feels like, if you haven't done it for a while, it feels like, oh, my ankles are so stiff. They just don't bend, but they will. It takes a little time. Don't push them. This is when you're bending like that. It's not entirely muscles. I believe it's also some ligaments and tendons, maybe particularly ligaments. They do not stretch well fast, but they do stretch well slow over time. And you can get more flexibility and more fluidity in there by gentle stretching that is regular over, I don't mean time like 15 minutes, I mean time like weeks. Okay, so now we're going to go to our fingers. We're going to stretch your fingers. Do some kind of stretch like this. And a stretch like this. I just interlocked my fingers differently. It feels different. Stretch like this. And take your thumb, give it a little love, that whole thumb joint. When I did so much open hand Shintaido when I was younger. And I didn't realize, I was so naive when I started doing Shintaido. It was the only exercising kind of thing I'd ever done in my life. I didn't realize that there were bones, that the finger bones ran up into the hand. It's like, oh, look. And you're going to kind of get the wrist bones. We'll do a little bit more of this in a minute. Kind of work up past your forearms and up past your elbow and up to your shoulder, and give your neck muscles a squeeze. And then the other side, work up your forearm, up your elbow, up your shoulder, and neck muscles. One of the really scary things about working on Zoom is that I see how round my back gets from working at the computer all the time. If that's an issue for you too, you can reach in the front here. And I'm actually massaging my pectoral muscles. I can put my fingers on either side of my ribs and push the muscles in between the ribs. And then, of course, the pectoral muscles that go on top of that. They get short and weak. It's amazing because we're doing this kind of thing on the computer all the time. So then these get long and stretched all the time, so they're overstretched. So if you get knots in your shoulders, probably you guys all know this. You get knots in your shoulders. A lot of times you go to a massage therapist, right, and he or she makes them all go away. It's great. Lasts for about 2 hours and then they come back. It's very frustrating. One of the reasons for that is because the knots that we have in our shoulders are not because the shoulders are tight so much as because they're overstretched, because we're in this kind of posture all the time. So they're overstretched, they're being pulled on all the time, and they're tight because of that. And when you release them, they relax for a little while, but then they go right back into that posture as soon as you sit down at the keyboard again. So the trick is to strengthen these middle back muscles and open up the front of the chest. And then suddenly we look like an athletic person. And it feels really good too. Okay, so find the core muscles. And like I told you last week, I like to visualize a column of light or a column of energy. Usually it goes through my body, comes from the abdominal floor, and it goes right through the chest cavity, comes out through my collarbones, between my collarbones and my shoulder blades, and right out the top of my head, which is more toward the back than toward the front. Then everything relaxes and it's just kind of suspended by that column of light. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So now we're going to shift your weight slightly so that it goes through one hip and then the other hip. And you can kind of feel that shift rising up through your body as your whole body shifts and your collarbones open. Again, you folks probably know all this, but the collarbones and the shoulder girdle aren't, and the arms, they're all attached to each other. And the only place that they're attached to the rest of the skeleton is right here. This little bit of bone at the front of that connects to the ribs. Otherwise, the collarbones float, except we tend to tie them up with muscle knots, and so they don't float very much, but they can. And it's a completely fluid, separate structure that's only connected right here. So when we get them loose, then they will float, and they can be very free. So let's try that. We're going to open the collarbones. Let your shoulders relax back and down. So the collarbones are opening up, and the bones are right here, and they're floating up and forward. And the shoulder blades are floating back and down your ribs. And you get a nice flat back. Mine tends to round because I do so much computer work. But it becomes much less round if I can lift this up. And I can breathe a lot better too. So when we get the core muscles, one of the things that helps me is to find the roof of my mouth. So you feel back where your tongue kind of goes down your throat, where the soft palate is. There's muscles back there, and you can kind of relax them and let them dome up as if the top of your mouth is floating up a little bit and floating back a little bit. We get so much tension in the inside of our mouth. One of the ways to resolve it, I know you've done this a lot, you stick your tongue out, and you see if you can touch your chin. I won't quite reach, but that's what we want, because it looks really funny. You don't have to do it on camera if you feel embarrassed, but the tongue roots clear down here in the throat, is my understanding. That's the base of the tongue, and it's really a large muscle. So if you can stick it out, it's actually stretching, just like we stretched our calves, and you'll feel it relax. The inside is like relaxing your throat from the inside. So you can, after doing that, then just take your fingers and kind of work around your neck, right below the ears, and your jaw. I'm not going to do too much to my jaw because it'll make really weird sounds on the camera, but anywhere in here, in the jaw, just rub those muscles and let them relax a little bit. Because we get very determined. I don't know about you, maybe it's just me, but I get good. I have to finish this word when I'm typing. Okay. So you've relaxed the roof of your mouth, you've let your shoulders relax, you've let everything is kind of floating. Now we're going to let our arms float up like that and over the way up and all the way down. That's kind of a Tai Chi-ish approach to arms rising. We'll do a Shintaido approach by turning the hands out, up, and up. It feels really different. So try the first one again. Hand palms down. Up. And palms turn up about halfway up on that one. Palms out from the very beginning. Up. And up. Good. Let's try that one more time. Palms out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Just relax. Yummy. Great. Find a chair if you have one handy. And let's sit for a minute. So our topic for this class is 10, which English and Japanese are not very equivalent, but the closest we can come is to say heaven, which it doesn't have very much to do with our Western Euro-Christian view of heaven. So you might want to say heavens, or you might even prefer to say like air or sky or up, or you want to be, if you're teaching, you want to make sure that your students understand that up and down are metaphors, because you can be connected to chi, which is earth, when you're up in an airplane, and you can be connected to ten, which is heaven, when you're down in a submarine. So metaphors. But last time we used we were accessing chi, or earth, and we did it by reaching down into the ground. And the wonderful thing about Shintaido is we don't have to do it by thinking about it. We can do it with our bodies, which I think is genius. And we reach down into the ground and just literally become more grounded when we reach down into the ground. And this time we're going to up into the air, into heaven, into whatever you want to think about it, and become more energized. We'll see that we have to get grounded before we can make that other connection. Otherwise, there's an awful lot of Western philosophy that is 10-ish without being chi-ish. And it's hard to sustain any kind of connection with external energy or power or God or whatever if you don't have a connection to the ground, to being centered. So last time we talked about Soft-Hand Shintaido, and that's a translation of the Japanese word yogi-tai, which doesn't mean soft hand. It means more like flexible body, but that doesn't communicate very well in English. And to me, Soft-Hand Shintaido covers the parts of Shintaido that are done with a hand that is not open and not a fist. So the other parts, the parts where the hand is like this, or softly open, or flicking, or at my sides, or anything that's not either open or open this way. And Soft-Hand Shintaido is one of the two core elements of Shintaido. And we have, as you all know, we have a lot of soft hand techniques within the Shintaido curriculum. You know, we have wakame and taikimai, dancing with clouds, and I'm not sure if hikari would be considered. I think hikari is its own thing. But we don't have a clearly defined soft hand curriculum for beginners. And Billias and I developed this 5-part program specifically so that people could, Shintaido instructors would have something for a resource so that they could come into it and use it out of the box if they wanted to, if they didn't know where to start with new students, and it'd be safe and it would be available, and or they could adapt it for other things. So this is the third of the 5 classes that we developed, and we've got a detailed curriculum for those 5 classes. It's more detailed now that you've been so helpful in doing it with me, because I have to write detailed notes for the class, and so now we have detailed notes for the first grade. So we will have detailed notes for 5 by the time we get done, and those will be available with Connie's permission for instructors that want my take on how I taught this specific class. There might be some useful stuff in there for you when you want some extra useful stuff besides the old useful stuff that you have. And we built the curriculum around the 5 principles of Tenchi, Stupito Ware, Ittai, or heaven, earth, human beings, self, and unity or togetherness, or integrity, maybe, and also around the 5 sounds of Tenshin Goso. A, E, I, O, U. And I say this every class, but Nancy and I don't consider this the curriculum for Soft-Hand Shintaido. We consider it a useful, we hope, resource for people who are teaching, maybe teachers who are trying to teach the Yokitai, the Soft-Hand Shintaido curriculum for the first time, or the first or second time, and they want some extra resources. They want a little help getting started. And we expect that everybody will modify it. Certainly, you're going to need to modify it for your specific students, and also you'll modify it for your own experience and your own history of Keiko, and etc. So if you try it, we really hope you'll let us know how it works, because this is a community effort, and the Keiko will grow with your feedback. So first class was Ware, connecting with self, connecting with what's inside us, each of us. It was centering and reaching in to ourselves inside. And the second class was Chi, earth, grounding, reaching down, drawing energy from the earth. Today's class is 10, heaven, stretching, reaching up, and connecting with energy that way. So we'll begin with the same exercises that we used in classes 1 and 2, but we'll emphasize reaching up into the heavens with our bodies. And again, we'll use our voice as an extension of what our bodies are doing and how we connect with one another. So if you would please mute your microphones and stand up. And again, make sure to look around for trip hazards and other safety things. Oh, I forgot to show you my visual aid, which is heaven. That's our character for today. So we'll start with the bow and with mokuso. And the Japanese word for bow is rei. Okay, we'll start with reaching up and down into the ground. So our feet are down and our body is up, our heads are floating up, and we're reaching out. And bring your soft hands to your hips, and then reach out. Right hand on top. Draw in. Left thumb inside the right hand. This is Om. Release. And this is Mokuso. One more time. Hands to hips. Reach out. Right hand on top. And Mokuso. Right. I think it makes more sense to do Mokuso and then bow. So let's try that one more time. Reach up. Release. Mokuso. And Mokuso Yame. And bow. Eight. Very good. Okay. Now, in the first class, we used our movements to find out where we are, where our physical body is, and how it connects to our whatever's inside our heads. And the second class, we worked on using our movements to find out where the ground is. Today, as I said before, we're going to reach out and connect with heaven. But before we do that, we want to be grounded. So we're going to do our feet again. And we'll start with the same weight shifting exercises that we did last time. And then we'll add a little bit to that. So start by just shifting your feet from side to side. Ich, ni, san, shi, go, rok, shich, hot. Very good. Really slowly. Keep your heels down this time. Shift your weight. Come back to center. Shift your weight. Back to center. Shift your weight. Back to center. Shift your weight. Back to center. Now, if you're like me, at this point, your monkey brain is going, this is so boring, I have other things to do, I think I left the burner on, I have to do my homework, or maybe I should listen to a podcast, or, my monkey brain chatters a lot. And these movements are so slow and so quiet, so if you're like me, you'll really notice your monkey brain. Don't yell at it. It can't. That's just what monkey brains do. It's not, it won't help us to shout loudly, saying, shut up. It won't work. What we want to do is just let it go. Okay, let it go. Feel your feet. Monkey brain's going to chatter. Oh, we got kind of quiet. If we're lucky, it'll have a little nap. It's probably pretty tired in there because it chatters all the time. And we're just shifting back and forth. And maybe it'll yawn, and then it'll have a nap. Probably needs it. Okay, so now you've found your balance, and we were with feet parallel. I had mine about hip width apart. We could have them together, but it's a little harder to balance. get all wobbly when I do that. So now we're going to widen our stance. I want you to go to Hachiji Dachi. So your feet are, toes are out about 45 degrees, and your feet are a little bit wider than hip width. You need to shift and back to center, and shift, and back to center, and shift, and back to center, and shift, and back to center. Very good. And you want to, when you bend your knees like this, you want to make sure that your knees don't roll in, and you don't want them to roll out beyond your foot. You want it to just be right over. Your kneecap should go between your big toe and your index toe, if there is such a thing. Okay. And you don't want them to go too much in front of your feet. So maybe you need to sit a little bit in a chair position to keep them from going too far to the front. When I was studying in Tokyo, nobody told me that, and we all went really far to the front. Honestly, I'm not sure that it's so bad for you, but any of your beginners that have any other physical training will tell you that you shouldn't do that. So if you want to just keep the peace in your class, you might want to, that's kind of standard Western physiology ideas, at least that's my understanding. So if you want to just have a peaceful class, you can not go way over your toes. It's supposed to be bad for the knees, according to my physical therapist, to go too far in the front. Okay, now we're going to go do that again. So one side, shifting to the center, shifting to the other side. The weight comes, it's like it runs up like a river into this hip, across my koshi, down into the other foot. Up from that foot, into my hip, across my koshi, down into the other foot. And you can widen your stance if you want to. Up, across, and down. If you like the image of an hourglass, you can feel sand running down your leg. It's a little harder to figure out how the sand runs up, but I'm sure you can do it. And other side. I have a very literal mind, so I have to be careful what images I use because I get stuck on sit, can run uphill. Yeah. Okay. Now, we're going to stay in Hachiji Dachi, but we're not going to shift our weight. We're just going to go up and down on our tiptoes. It's not a bad idea to just put a finger on something if you have something to handy. Okay, so you're going to go up and down and up and down. I find it helps me to balance if I do this too. Up and down. Some of you may recognize this. It's called the universal post in Tai Chi, or hugging a tree. And from the side, it looks like this. And up. And whoops. Up. And up. And great. You'll want to be careful if you're teaching. Make sure that your students don't pull their ankle out. So here's your ankle. It's going up. It should go straight. It shouldn't go out to the side. It shouldn't go into the side. If their ankles are rolling, they shouldn't go up so high. And if their ankles are still rolling, they probably need to not do it until their ankles get stronger, because we don't want to take out anybody's ankle. And when we're doing that up and down, you can kind of feel that column of light that we talked about. It comes from the koshi up through your collarbone and your head, and that helps to keep me steady up. You're just sliding up along the column of light. Great. Okay, so if your knees are up for it, you can do the same thing in Zubidachi with your heels together. I think it's harder. Up. 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 Great. And you probably won't need this next movement with most beginners. It would be too difficult. But if you need, if your people are really physical fit and they look like they're bored and they want something challenging, you can go up, across, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down. It's really a good idea to have them hold on to something or just put a finger on something for the first, just to make sure, because obviously when you're doing something that slow and that balance challenging, they could roll an ankle and you don't want to do that. The cool thing about that is everybody's flexing their ankles and extending it. So when you're doing this kind of pointing and then flexing and then pointing and then flexing is really good because we're moving all the ankle bones and we're actually, I think we're probably waking up the heel bones a little bit too, certainly the bones in the feet. So again, you're getting fall protection because you've got a line of first defense. We talked about this last week. Usually, if we're wearing shoes and we're accustomed to wearing shoes all the time and our feet are like rigid little boxes, then anything that happens to the feet, to any balance challenge, won't get picked up in the feet at all. It gets usually hits the ankles first, or sometimes even the knees first. And that's sad because you only have your knees and your hips before it gets into your back. And by that time, you might be on the ground. So if you've got foot bones that are willing and able to take some of the shock, if you make a misstep this time of year on slip on leaves or on slip ground, it can be just beneficial to your whole balancing response. If you work with seniors, that's a good point for everybody to keep in mind too. So these weight shifts are really helpful for getting us centered and grounded. And they help me find my connection to 10, because as I said, if I don't have chi connection, I can't get to 10 very effectively at all. And it also is a good way to get our feet exercised, which now means that they're just tired and they deserve a foot massage. So let's do a foot massage. I will find the perfect spot so you can see my feet.
That's good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're going to start with, if you're in my house, wiping the cat hair off your feet, and then rotating ankle, itch, knee, sun, shi, other direction, go, look, itch, hutch, okay, and full toes, itch, knee, sun, shi, go, itch, knee, sun, shi, go. I started Shintaido in 1975, And I've been teaching informally since 1977, and I've never had anybody say, "Oh, do we have to do foot massage again?" It just never happened. Okay, thumbs on the bottom of your feet. Ich, ni, sa, shi, go, rok, shich, hach. Okay, and round the heel a little bit. Ni, sa, shi, go, rok, shich, hach. Very good. And imagine that your foot is a little furoshiki, a little towel, Japanese bath towel or something, and you're squeezing the water out of it. Gently. Ni, sa, shi, go. Very good. And put your foot on something and work around the ankle. Sa, shi, go, rok, shich, hach. If we were horses, we would have valves in our legs to help the blood go back up the veins into the heart. But people don't have those. So because we sit a lot and we climb trees not very much and run from leopards and all those things that people used to do, we need to help ourselves a little bit.
Sure we do, Lee. They may have a different name, but our...
Oh, do we?
Yeah, we do.
Awesome.
Nature's sort of the same.
I'm really happy to hear that. Okay, other foot. Thank you. Okay, circles. Ich, ni, sa, shi, go. You would wonder, now that I think about it, why would we lose something that valuable, right? Sa, shi, go. Okay. Ich, ni, sa, shi, go. Ich, ni, sa, shi, go. Okay, and thumbs. Ich, ni, sa, shi, go. Rok, shich, hach. Ich, ni, sa, shi, go. Rok, shich, hach. And around the heel. Sa, shi, go. Rok, shich, hach. And soft squeezing. Ich, ni, sa, shi, go. And the foot down and work the fluids up. Shi, go, rok, shich, hach. Great. Okay, happy feet. Stand up. And now we know where our feet are. So let's do another pass of finding where our hands and arms are. We're going to wiggle our fingers gently. And as you wiggle your fingers, you'll feel the muscles in your, I think there's little muscles in the hand, aren't there, Connie? I think there are. And move your hands around like this.
Yes, we have muscles in our hands.
Thank you. Oh, we have to, because we've got this big muscle here. Yeah, okay, good. And we have more muscles that work the fingers that are up in the forearms. I understand that. You can see them flex when you move your fingers. So as you move your hands in space, feel the muscles in your forearms. And as you move your forearms in space, feel the muscles in your upper arms. And as you move your upper arms in space, feel the muscles in your shoulders and your upper back and your middle back. And you can feel your shoulder blades moving along your ribs. Very good. So, and we're going to turn your head from side to side and just feel your neck muscles gently. And gently tip it over. And gently roll it forward, side to side. And again, feel the muscles in the back of your neck. Reach up with your hands and just find some muscles in your neck that want to be massaged. Pay special attention to these muscles in the back, right at the hairline, where your neck kind of goes into your head. It's almost like your skull comes down over the neck a little bit. And I think there's a lot of attachments right there. So they feel really good. Okay. And now your collarbone is just floating. You can go ahead and rub the collarbone again if it feels like it needs it. It's just like it's lifting out and up from the ribs. At least if you do the kind of desk work that I do, because mine tends to collapse in because I'm typing and typing and typing and looking at the screen. So you want it to just relax. Everything kind of rotates back so that the collarbone, instead of being tipped forward, it straightens up and lifts out this way. And then the head just floats on top of that. I have a hard time with my head goes forward. It's hard to bring it back. And if I can get my collarbone lifted up and forward, then all of a sudden there's space. So I still have to do the hard work of moving my head, but now there's a place to let it move into. So that's my current homework. And now let's start connecting. So we're going to reach down and let the body quiet the mind. Excuse me, just a second. Thank you. So we're going to breathe, and just like we did last time, we'll breathe from our koshi. So you're breathing in, and it's like your koshi is, there's a small, here's my belly button. Here's my tanden, about 4 inches below the belly button. Of course, actually it's inside, it's not just sitting on the surface. And from the tanden, I like to imagine as I'm breathing in that it's kind of like a coal of fire in my belly. And as I breathe in, it brightens up like a coal does when you blow on it. And then I breathe out and it gets quiet. And I breathe in and out. And every time I breathe in, that light gets from the coal, the light from the fire, gets a little bit bigger. It fills my belly. And it fills down through my legs. And meanwhile, my feet are reaching down in the ground, and all this energy from the earth is coming up through my feet. Same thing, comes up as I breathe in. Comes up through my ankles. all the way up through my knees. And it combines with that energy coming down from my koshi. And meanwhile, the energy from my koshi is moving not just down, it's also moving up as it expands up to my ribs. Fills my ribs, moving up toward my neck. Meanwhile, my fingers are relaxed and they're filling with energy up through the fingers, up through the wrists, up through my elbows, up through my shoulders. As that energy fills my shoulders, they just naturally open up and roll back. And that energy combines with the energy from my belly. Meanwhile, we are standing in that column of energy from heaven that's coming down through my head, through my jaw, through my neck, and all those energies come together. They're really the same energy. Just all come together, maybe around the throat or someplace like that. As you breathe in, you're just radiating energy and it's flowing through you. Okay, relax for a minute. Move your feet, move your hands. Let all of those words just kind of go over there and have a little break. Okay. Feet down, shoulders relax, shoulder, everything floats, head floats, breathe in. Breathe out. All connected. Very good. From there, we'll go to the hands overhead and standing down movement from Tainyo. And we'll end with the stand your ground movement like this. And then the second time we'll do it with the fists. Wanted to remind us that, like we said last time, when we use the fist, that doesn't necessarily mean anger or attack. It can be a way to say I'm a part of a valued community and I belong to something bigger than I am, and I will stand with my community. And you can do that either this way or this way or both. It's very calm, but it's also very, very determined, very centered. So open up. Hands overhead. Scan down. Widen your stance just a little bit. Relax one more time. Open up. Soft fists. Scan down. Widen your stance. And release. Okay. And to end the class today, we'll do Soft-Hand Shintaido. The last time we did Aoki-sensei, A-O. Today we'll add A and E. We're going to be starting from as we did before, and we're aiming for an open stillness and a kind of attentiveness without anticipation. So we're not expecting anything. It's easier said than done, but we'll give it a try. It's let your brain chatter if it wants to, but don't let it control you. So this body is what's holding us in place here. And you may be in a place that's less than optimal. You may be, and certainly your students will be when you're teaching. Your space is noisy, or it's dark, or it's small, or you have to deal with interruptions, or you don't have much privacy, and that's difficult. But it's also an opportunity to connect with this deeper stillness that underlies our really quite noisy these days world. And brings us, it's where we can all connect with each other in that deep underground stillness. So we will start with and we're going to reach out. Soft hands. Now last time we're adding this, we're just going to twist our hands together and open out to the shoulders. Back to your hips. Down to the back. Right hand on top. So let's just quickly look at the technical stuff. So the hand goes out for all, comes up, overhead, twists, like this. Comes back to your hips, kind of like kneading bread. Soft hands, reaching out, make this little triangle. It can be all metaphorical about this, looking into the future. Softly come under. I've got a wall here, so it's a little weird. I'll just scoot to the side one more time, like this. There we go. There's O, right hand on top. O. So let's do that one last time. And from O, we'll go into Mokso, and then we'll finish the class with Bao today. Okay? So, I'm bending my knees so you can see my hands, but that's not really part of the technique. Back to your hips. and right hand on top. Close your stance. Om. Yame into Mokuso position. Feet reach down, collarbones float up, head floats up. Quiet mind. Mokuso. Mokuso Yame. And to the group. 8. Well done, everybody. So that's the end of our third class. And like we said last time, the bow is a way to say thank you. So thank you for sharing the space with me. When you came into this space, we bowed at the beginning. You left some things that you didn't need. This is a safe space. So you probably left some things outside the Zoom door. And some of them you'll want to pick up as you go back out into the world. Some of them you may want to just leave right there. Go right ahead. You don't have to take everything out that you came in with.